Yes, I said quietly. He told me he did, but I didn't know what he wrote. My sister's breathing changed. Her nails dug into the counsel table. The judge looked at the top of the letter. Then he read the first line aloud. If you are reading this in court, it means my son and his family tried to take my estate by accusing my granddaughter. My mother made a sound like she'd been stabbed. My father's face went rigid. My sister's attorney sat down slowly, as if he'd realized he was standing on a trap door. The judge continued reading, not all of it, just enough to make the record undeniable. He read that my grandfather had asked me to move in after his fall. He read that he had met with counsel alone. He read that he had created the trust because he feared pressure tactics and rapid signature demands. Then the judge reached the line that seemed to make his lips press together. He read it once silently, then he read it out loud. On the night I called emergency services, my son brought a mobile notary to my home to obtain new signatures. I refused. I asked for witnesses. If they call this elder abuse, they are projecting their own conduct. The courtroom stayed dead quiet. Not a whisper. Not a cough. My sister sat very still, and I watched her eyes flicker like she was trying to find a way to survive the record. My father's attorney stood slowly, voice cautious now. Your Honor, he said, we object to hearsay. The judge cut him off. It's a statement of intent from the decedent offered to show his state of mind, he said. And it's consistent with the dispatch audio. He held the letter up slightly. This court is not going to entertain a last-minute elder abuse allegation used to seize assets held by a corporate trustee, he said, each word measured. If you want to file a petition with evidence, you may do so, but not today, not like this. My sister's attorney swallowed. Your Honor, he said, we'd like to withdraw the motion. The judge's gaze stayed cold. You can't withdraw consequences, he replied. But you can stop digging. He turned to the clerk. Dismiss the motion, he said, and set an order to show cause hearing regarding sanctions for the filing and the false assertions made today. My mother's face went pale. My father's jaw clenched. My sister's mask finally cracked. So she gets everything? She snapped. The judge didn't flinch. The trust gets administered per the terms, he said. And yes, Ms. Vale's petition to seize all inheritance effective immediately is denied. My sister's hands shook now. She tried to hide it by gripping the edge of the table. As the man in black spoke again, calm, like a machine stating the next step. The trustee will suspend any distributions to parties who triggered the no contest clause until further review, he said. We will follow the trust language exactly. My sister's head snapped toward him. Suspend? She hissed. No, that's... He didn't argue. That is, he said simply. The judge leaned forward and said the last sentence my sister did not expect to hear. Ms. Vale, he said, you walked into this courtroom acting like it was already yours. Now you will leave with nothing decided in your favor today, and you will answer for the way you tried to obtain it. My sister's eyes turned to me again, full of hatred and humiliation. Then she whispered, barely audible, this isn't over. And that's when the bailiff stepped in close, quiet, unprofessional, and spoke to the judge in a low tone. The judge's expression changed slightly as he listened. He nodded once. Then he looked directly at my father. Mr. Vale, he said, remain seated. My father froze. Why? He asked. The judge's voice stayed flat. Because, he said, I've just been informed there's a deputy in the hallway with paperwork for you, and it isn't from this court. My father's face tightened. The courtroom doors opened again, and a uniformed deputy walked in holding a document with a bold header across the top. I couldn't read it from my seat, but I saw my father's face turn gray as the deputy said, Sir, you've been served. My father didn't stand. He didn't demand respect. He just stared at the deputy like the badge had suddenly become heavier than his money. What is this? He asked, voice tight. The deputy didn't play games. He held the packet out. Service of process, he said. You can accept it here or in the hallway. My father's attorney leaned toward him and whispered something urgent. My father ignored it and snatched the papers, flipping the first page with shaking fingers. His eyes moved across the header. Then he froze. Because this wasn't probate. This was criminal. The judge watched him read, expression flat. Mr. Vale, he said, this court has nothing to do with that paperwork, but I will remind you, you are still under oath from earlier testimony. My father swallowed. Your Honor, he said, forcing calm, this is harassment. My family is being targeted because my daughter... The judge cut him off. Stop, he said. Your daughter is not the one who called emergency services to report a coercion attempt. Your daughter is not the one who filed a false motion in this court. Your daughter is not the one who attempted to seize trust assets held by a corporate fiduciary. My mother's mouth tightened. We were trying to protect the family, she whispered. The judge didn't soften. Then you protected it into a referral, he said. The deputy shifted his stance slightly, and I realized he hadn't come alone. 2 more uniforms stood near the doors, quiet, not approaching, just present in the way law enforcement gets present when they expect people to run or explode. My sister's attorney cleared his throat. Your Honor, he said carefully, we would request a brief recess to confer with our clients. The judge looked at him like he was exhausted by the idea of more talking. You can confer, he said, but this motion is dismissed. The trustee will administer the trust, and I will see counsel back for the order to show cause hearing. He picked up his pen, already turning away from them. Then he stopped and looked back once, like he'd remembered something important. One more thing, he said. The room stilled again. He addressed the man in the black suit. Sir, he said, does the trustee request any protective order? Yes, Your Honor, the man replied immediately. Given the attempted interference, the trustee requests an order prohibiting the petitioners from contacting financial institutions, custodians, or third parties in an attempt to access trust assets and prohibiting harassment of the primary beneficiary. My sister's head snapped up. Harassment? She scoffed. The judge's eyes moved to her. Ms. Vale, he said, you just accused someone of elder abuse with no evidence in open court. You are not in a position to scoff. He looked back at the trustee's representative. Granted, he said. Draft it. I'll sign today. My mother's face drained. You can't keep us from our own daughter, she whispered, voice shaking. The judge's voice stayed flat. You can keep yourselves from committing misconduct, he replied. Elliot leaned toward me and murmured, This is the cleanest order we could have hoped for. I nodded once, but my eyes stayed on my parents. Because now my father had the criminal paperwork in his hands, and I could see the calculation changing behind his eyes. Not remorse. Damage control. The judge adjourned. Court is recessed, he said. The moment the gavel hit, my mother lunged toward me in the aisle. Not physically, but close enough that the air changed. You did this, she hissed. You ruined your father. I didn't flinch. He ruined himself, I said quietly. Alyssa stepped in too, her voice a tight whisper, eyes wild. You're going to lose everything, she said. I'll make sure you do. I looked at her and kept my voice calm. You already tried, I said. And the trustee didn't even have to raise its voice. My sister's face twisted. You think you're safe because a bank sent a suit? She spat. I leaned in slightly, close enough for her to hear me over the hallway noise. I think I'm safe because Grandpa planned, I said. And because you can't bully a record. Her lips parted, and I saw the moment she wanted to scream. Instead, she did something colder. She turned her phone face down like she'd just sent something she didn't want anyone to see. Elliot noticed it too. His gaze flicked to her hands, then to me. Don't engage, he murmured. We're leaving. We walked out through the side exit. The courthouse air outside was sharp and bright, like it didn't care what families did to each other inside. At the curb, Elliot stopped and looked me in the eyes. Here's the concrete ending you wanted, he said quietly. The trust is controlling everything. The petition is dismissed. The no contest clause is triggered and will be enforced. Your parents don't get access, and the court just signed an order preventing interference. I nodded. And your sister? I asked. Elliot's mouth tightened. If she's a named beneficiary, she likely forfeited today, he said. That's what her lawyer is realizing right now. We stood there for a moment, just breathing. Then Elliot's phone buzzed, and he checked it. And his expression changed the same way it had at the airport when the officer's tone shifted. What? I asked. Elliot held the screen up. A notification, official, short. Hawthorne National Bank Trust Department. Security alert. Attempted access blocked. My stomach went cold. Because the hearing was over, the order was signed, and someone was still trying to touch the money. Elliot's voice went quiet. They're doing it right now, he said. I stared at the alert, and in that moment, I understood. My sister hadn't turned her phone face down to stop herself from screaming. She'd turned it face down because she was moving. Elliot didn't waste a second. He called the trust department while we were still standing at the curb. I heard the courthouse doors behind us and my parents, somewhere inside, trying to pretend they hadn't just been humiliated. A woman answered with the kind of steady, rehearsed calm you hear from people whose job is to prevent disasters. Hawthorne Trust, she said. This line is recorded. How may I help you? This is Elliot Lane, he replied. Counsel for Marine Vale. I just received a security alert. Attempted access blocked. I need details. There was a brief pause and the sound of keys tapping. Then the woman's tone sharpened slightly. Not panic, procedure. Yes, she said. An attempted login was made to the beneficiary portal. It failed multi-factor authentication. Immediately after that, there was an attempt to change the contact phone number on file. My mouth went dry. Change it to whose? I asked. The trust officer didn't answer me directly. She asked Elliot, Are you authorizing me to disclose the attempted change request data to your client? Yes, Elliot said instantly. The trust officer continued. The attempted phone number change request was submitted from a device associated with the petitioner, Alyssa Vale. I closed my eyes for half a second because I could picture it perfectly. Or her flipping her phone face down in the courtroom like she was hiding shame, when in reality she was hiding action. Elliot's voice stayed calm. Did she authenticate? He asked. No, the trust officer replied. The system blocked the request. A manual flag was placed. Distribution status is now set to hold fraud risk pending review. Elliot let out a slow breath. Good, he said. Freeze all changes. No portal contact changes. No phone number changes, no email changes, no address updates without verified in-person identification. Already done, she replied. And a report has been generated. Elliot's jaw tightened. Send that report to my office, he said. And note, there's an active court order issued today prohibiting interference. Understood, she answered. We have the court order on file. The trustee will comply. The call ended, and the quiet afterward felt sharp. Elliot looked at me. That alert? He said. It's exactly why corporate trustees exist. They don't get bullied. They don't get guilt-tripped. They log and block. I nodded slowly. So she tried to get in, I said, and failed. Yes, he replied. And she just created a record that will follow her into sanctions. We drove straight to Elliot's office, not for drama, but for one reason, to lock down everything while my family was still spinning. Elliot had me sign a single-page instruction. All trust communications routed through counsel, no direct contact, accepted from family members, and any attempted changes treated as fraud. Then he forwarded the bank's security report to the judge's clerk with a note. Attempted access blocked within minutes of court recess. No threats, no speeches, just a timestamp. An hour later, Elliot's assistant came in and said, "The trustee rep called back." The man in the black suit, Hawthorne's representative, appeared on a video call. Same calm face, same plain suit like a uniform. "Ms. Vale," he said, "I want to make something very clear. I didn't speak. I let him. The trust will distribute only according to the trust terms," he continued. There will be no exceptions due to family pressure. There will be no temporary transfers. There will be no advances." He glanced down at a note, then back up. "And due to today's petition and the attempted portal interference, the trustee has formally determined that Alyssa Vale triggered the no contest clause. Her distribution is now forfeited pending court confirmation." My chest tightened. Part relief, part disbelief. Elliot asked, "And the parents?" The trustee rep's face didn't change. "Grant and Linda Vale's contingent distributions are under review," he said. "Given their participation in the petition and coordinated behavior, the trustee is treating their involvement as interference." He paused, then added, "We will file a declaration with the court." That was the moment it felt finished. Not because it was emotionally satisfying, because it was administratively final. 2 weeks later, the court held the sanctions hearing. My sister's attorney didn't make eye contact with anyone. He stood up, cleared his throat, and said, "Your Honor, we withdraw all contested claims and apologize to the court." The judge didn't smile. He didn't accept the apology like it erased the attempt. He imposed sanctions for the bad faith filing, ordered my sister to pay a portion of attorney's fees, and most importantly, entered an order acknowledging the trustee's enforcement of the no contest clause. Then he addressed my parents directly. "Your daughter did not take anything," he said. "Your father's documents took control away from you, and you responded with manipulation. This court will not participate in that." My mother cried in a way that sounded real for the first time. Not grief, but loss of control. My father didn't cry. He just stared at the floor like he was looking for a loophole. There wasn't one. Within the month, Hawthorne National Bank completed the first formal distribution under the trust terms. The house remained protected by title. The remaining assets were administered with receipts, confirmations, and a paper trail my family could never rewrite. And as for my sister, her wealth didn't protect her from a forfeiture clause she'd ignored because she assumed courts exist to reward confidence. They don't. Courts reward records. On the night the final confirmation email came through, I sat at my kitchen table and opened the same folder my grandfather had prepared years before. Not to relive the pain, to remember the lesson. When people try to erase you with a story, you don't fight story with story. You fight story with proof. 3 weeks after the hearing, the court entered the trustee's declaration into the record. Hawthorne locked the trust completely, no changes without in-person verification. My sister's forfeiture was confirmed under the no contest clause. My parents' requested family settlement was denied, and the sanctions order required them to reimburse legal fees tied to the false filing. Within 30 days, the trustee executed the first distribution exactly as written, and the deeded property stayed protected outside probate. No more motions. No more emergencies. Just the record, finalized. What did you think of the ending? Was it satisfying, or would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.